Is that an actual question, Johnny?
Yeah, yes, please.
Oh, you recall that Organised Labour actually had given the president up until 30th of September.
Yeah.
I was a little bit critical of Organised Labour yesterday during the news review because I was wondering why that extension had been granted. I've been listening to the leadership of the different umbrellas or the different subsects of Organised Labour, and they say the reason why they said October 10th is to give themselves some chance to inform their members and also drive home the message, and that you can't just get up and declare a strike, and therefore that is the extension that has been given. And I thought, well, as of September 30th, when that time had elapsed, Organised Labour would just lay down their tools, because at that point sufficient time had been given. I've been a bit skeptical about that extension of time. However, yesterday Organised Labour appears resolute in their decision to lay down tools come October 10th. As far as the president's request for an extension of time is concerned, I think, Johnny, you know how I feel about that, and we all are saying, well, time to do what exactly? I think the time to act has already passed, because from what we now know, and Ghana Water Company has told us that the time to act is far gone. So I don't know what that time will do for Mr. President.
You know, this morning a friend of mine who's a staunch member of the government, he suggested to me that Ghana Water says, the turbidity levels in the water is improved significantly. So bye, we're getting there. You know that statement from the Ghana Water Company?
Let me try and retrieve it, because I don't know about that.
So then I quickly referred him to the turbidity levels that you had said that, look, this is the UN asking us about turbidity levels and telling us that no. The turbidity levels that we claim to have, or we say we have, is nothing to write home about, right? And I was just glancing through some documents yesterday. I was on the UN, so I'm on the UN environment page, right? The Minamata Convention on Mercury. I'm there now live. If you go there with me, you see that what I'm doing. I'm just trying to understand and they call the nations that are part of whatever they are doing, they call them parties, right? Now, these parties include Ghana. Ghana, as a republic, we signed on to the Minamata Convention in 2014. By 2017, we had started activating it. Now, for those who don't know, the Minamata Convention on Mercury is the most recent global agreement on environment and health. Adopted in 2013, it is named after the bay in Japan where, in the mid-20th century, mercury-tainted and industrial wastewater poisoned thousands of people, leading to severe health damage that became known as the Minamata disease. Since it entered into force on 16th of August 2017, parties have been working together to control the mercury supply and trade, reduce the use, emissions, and release of mercury, raise public awareness, and build the necessary institutional capacity to #make mercury history. And we have signed on to this particular thing, right? Now, if you cast your mind onto the documents that I shared this morning on Johnny's Bite, right? We had received more than $8 million as a country to fight the use of mercury in our waters. As I mentioned, we signed on to this Minamata Convention under the UN on 24th of September 2014. We ratified it on the 23rd of March 2017. The entry into force of this Minamata Convention, as far as Ghana is concerned, was on the 16th of August 2017. The COP4, which we were there, and I'm sure that I'll be disappointed if I find us at the COP in Azerbaijan in November, because of what we're doing. It was amended on the 28th of September 2023. In Ghana, I've told you who our focal person is. Now, there's an Africa Environmental Health and Pollution Management Project that Ghana, we said we're going to do. And the objective was to reduce exposure to mercury and UPOPs, pollution in pilot sites, and strengthen the institutional capacity to manage and regulate mercury use in artisanal, small-scale gold mining and e-waste. That's what we said. How much money did we get for this particular thing? We got, so there are two tranches of cash. GEF co-financing, that's $50,600. And then the GEF project grant, which was given to the Republic of Ghana in 2020. The project ID is 9851, implemented by the World Bank for Ghana alone, which was approved, was 8,715,596. Helen, what was the exchange rate in 2020?
Oh, I have to go back and check. Dollar
to cedi. So 8,715,000.
Certainly wasn't even 7 cities then, I don't believe so.
596. Let's say it was even 10 cities. Because in 2020, it had shot up. But let's say it was even 10 cities, maybe 9 cities. Multiply that by $8,715,596
dollars we were given.
And yes, to fight mercury, the objective is straight, to stop or manage. That's what he said. How have we done? How have we done this?
And Johnny, very quickly, because we signed a lot of conventions, we have to come back to that Ramsar Site Convention. We signed it.
1971, we signed that.
Exactly.
2014, we signed this one.
We signed things and we don't actually mean it. But the turbidity level, so River Pra's turbidity level, and that was according to Ghana Water Company, had reached 14,000 NTU. And that is extremely high, indicates significant pollution. Now, World Health Organization says anything above 4 is unsafe. Anything above 4 NTU is unsafe. River Pra is 14,000 NTU.
Well, the updates that the Ghana Water Company yesterday issued was that the Setre Heman water treatment is currently recording an average turbidity of 9,000 NTU as compared to the previous average turbidity of 14,000 NTU through the effort of the Central Regional Security Council led by the Honorable Minister, Mrs. Justina Marigold Assan. As a result of this event, production at the plant has now increased from 1,981,290 gallons per day to 2,773,807 gallons per day. Now, if this is what Ghana Water Company says, why are the people in the central region still complaining of water shortage? And it takes me back to the conversation about officialdom and their figures. The inflation figures, for example, that we have. Bank of Ghana is talking about a different inflation figures. The Ghana Statistical Service boss is also talking about some different inflation figures for the same month. So you ask yourself, how can two agencies serving under one government be giving us two different figures for the same month in terms of inflation? The question about figures is always suspicious.
Johnny, are you reading my mind today or something like that? Call me Alfredo that is on X, but he's joined us many times on our various platforms. He's a data scientist. Just this morning, he has outlined about 10 figures and stats we've been given by officialdom that are completely untrue. Job creation figures.
Right.
One body says this, another body says this. SNIT says this, Vice President says this.
If Ghana Water Company tells me that the water is getting better, and I live around the Heman, intake point, and I see a different kind of, coloration in the water, I will not believe them, because while the water is still miscolored, my home still doesn't have water. So if the situation has improved, at least I should have some of the water that you say has improved, and now you are able to distribute and treat. It's as simple as that.
But Johnny, from 14,000 to 9,000, when the acceptable figure is 4.
No, but you see, you grant that and say that 5,000 has gone off. So now we can harvest more water and treat. If you can harvest more water and treat, at least if I was getting 20 gallons in the past and 14,000 came and I wasn't getting at all, now I should be getting 2 gallons or at least 1 gallon. Something to know that, the situation is getting better. But I'm not getting cry. And if I go and I want to fetch from the river I can't fetch. So how do you convince me that there's any work going on and there's any progress? And that's why the people are not happy with organized labor. Daniel Opoku is our senior labor correspondent here at Media Channel. Dan, welcome.
Thank you very much, Jordan.
The organized labor, are they playing with the people emotions? Are they playing toy with it? What are they doing? What the people are not happy with them.
That's an interesting question, Johnny. The position of organized labor actually has raised a lot of concerns, because you ideally expected that once they represent workers, they would have taken a firm decision. And the last meeting they had before meeting the president yesterday, it created some kind of agitations among themselves. But there were those who believed that, why don't you begin the strike Tuesday or Wednesday? But rather would want to give up to 10th of October to embark on a nationwide strike. Then clearly you also want to tell me that you want to buy time. So the problem with organized labor now, now they have really come under severe pressure from the general public and from the workers themselves, believing that they should, because they are the organized labor is the last hope of workers, to push the president to make a public announcement calling for a total ban on small-scale mining, illegal mining, and all that. But unfortunately, it has become a difficult until they meet the president. And obviously, when you meet presidents, there's no way you can embark on a nationwide strike. Unless you have a slim chance. Because one, the president has made appeal. Two, give me more time, give me some time, let me look at it. As to when. So the strike is still on the table. President, as at the close of yesterday and up to next week, Wednesday, would have to meet leadership of organized labor and resolve the problem. Or else, from 10th, you're likely to see some kind of agitations on the labor front.
I know that, and as Helen mentioned earlier, I know that organized labor had given an indication and given, some timeline.
Yes.
And then came back to even extend the timeline.
Sure.
All through that period, the president hadn't spoken to
exactly,
them, hadn't responded. So why then now do you go and say...
The last statement they issued was, the first one was around 11 September.
Right.
Where they said, President, ban all activities and let's see what happens. Right after that, the president set up a technical committee. Labor appeared before the committee, led by the Minister of Natural Lands and Natural Resources,
Abu.
And unfortunately, they couldn't take any firm conclusion on that one. You came back to your people, brief the constituents. Then they said, why don't you embark on a strike? Then you are giving another more days to the president for him to look at it. So it has become a bit dicey. Even today, yesterday they met the president. Today they are supposed to have their own internal meeting and see the way forward. But my understanding is a lot of them are not around. So it's likely they may shift the meeting from today to Monday. But even that, what is organized labor going to tell their constituents? The president says, I need some time to deal with the problem, or suspend your action. What are they going to do? So we are going to see another kind of agitations among themselves, the leadership of organized labor. So let's see what happens, especially when we have a new Secretary General led by Mr. Joshua and his team as a Bampo and all of them within the system. Let's see how it goes, whether they'll be able to embark on a nationwide strike or not. Even though when you look at the strike impact, actually, the impact is going to be extremely dire in case they should embark on a nationwide strike.
This was the same posture that the government and organized labor had regarding the SNIT.
Very well.
It was when they decided that, look, we're tired. You're not listening to us. Because SNIT board chair had said, what you're saying is... people had said that, look, we will go ahead and acquire these hotels. If we had money, we will acquire these hotels. We don't care. Freddie Blay had made a statement. Madam Elizabeth Ohini had made a statement. These were all in the public domain. And SNIT boss had also... When organized labor said, no, we won't listen. We are going on strike.
They got results.
Now, the hotels are there. Nobody's touching it. Nobody is talking to us about the hotels are
failing. Suspended the action.
But everybody is not interested anymore.
Exactly.
Because organized labor says, don't go there. That's so true. Organized labor has a duty to the people. And people are now suggesting that they have been compromised. What's their response to that?
Just doesn't beg me. The SNIT issue, I think organized labor also had some extra demands that were not met. Was organized labor not asking for a total dissolution of the SNIT board?
Yeah, that has not been done.
So they did one part.
Yeah, that has not been done basically because when you look at the position of the law, it still gives the power the executive mandate to still do the appointment.
Right.
So obviously, when you dissolve this current board, the president must proceed to do another batch of appointments. So they believe that there should be the need to repeal or just amend a portion of the pensions at 766. Then the other, you somehow put a lot of power in the hands of Labour for them to do their.
But at least that signal will be there that if you are there, you're not performing, you're making outrageous, investment decisions, that you can go and somebody else can come.
That is very true. And the last meeting they had with Senate, they have been able to reach some agreement, even though they have left the hotels alone, calling for another investment.
Right.
As to whether they have been compromised, Johnny, your question, that issue keeps on coming up. Someone cited the case of Abronia, who said when they appeared before the technical committee, leadership of Organised Labour was compromised. Even just this morning, I'm hearing also leadership of Organised Labour being compromised once again in terms of some way, their hands have been parted.
Right.
But the point is,
2.7.
has anybody been able to produce any evidence? You should have concrete, because you are dealing with the integrity of people. There's this perception about labor union leaders being compromised. It is always there, especially when you are at the periphery and you're not within. But when you come in, you realize that it becomes very difficult. Yes, I even though I'm not so much involved when I attend most of the negotiations, right? Maybe going to the minister's office and all that. Sometimes some of these things come up and you realize that
there's something about organized labor.
Very well.
Kolebu Teaching Hospital is an example. Nurses, doctors, lab technicians, pharmacists, all of them, about 6 of the unions. They said, look, the CEO we have, he's not fit for purpose. He must go.
Yeah.
Meetings were convened. They were invited to meetings. They said, we won't attend. People went on the air to speak. They said, no, if you punish them, we won't. Back and forth, back and forth. The recent one that was held was just this week.
Yeah.
When they finished, the regional executive of the Nurses Association.
Yes, the acting chairman of the Nurses Association.
He made a statement. Was the secretary or one of the executives?
Jefferson.
He made a statement to the media, granted an interview to the media, suggesting that, they support the CEO.
Very well.
Whereas the people at Kolebu
dissociate themselves from that.
say, we're not. And at that particular meeting, there was actually an argument, because when the CEO finished and came to rant and said whatever he had to say, according to the reports from inside sources, the people at Kolebu were asked to make a statement supporting. They said, no, we can't. This statement, it doesn't represent us. So it was the regional executive who came to make the statement on their behalf. So clearly you can tell that the regional executive are singing a different tune from the people they are supposed to be speaking for at Kolebu. For me, if you see organized labor in such a posture, where 6 different unions, and it is only the registered nurses union that has this distortion.
The rest are in the same.
Everybody, senior staff association, they are in sync.
Yeah.
Pharmacists are in sync. Accountants, blah blah blah. They are all in sync. Sure. It is only the nurses and midwife, and even the nurses and midwife. It's not the national that is not in sync. It's a regional executive of Greater Accra who are not in sync with their people. If somebody then says that person has been compromised, what do you say? What can he say?
But one, but just the point about one person also. When you in case you should compromise one person, and obviously, when you look at,
but he's speaking on behalf of the people to the media. But
here's the case: the people have disassociated themselves from
meeting. No, because what if the people had been cowered into submission?
Then obviously you can say that they have been compromised.
We know many organized labor meetings that had been organized and threats had been issued to people in meetings and all of that. And some people say, into minimum kasabiumbo.
That is true.
So when you cower people into submission, suspend people and all of that,
they have been compromised.
Yes. I mean, how else do you explain it? There's a situation at ICOP in the north.
Yeah.
Brian Champon wrote to him. In fact, started from HR.
Yeah.
HR wrote and said, your time is up. Please go home. Say, I won't go. Union executives started agitations. They wrote. He said, I won't go. He came to the board chairman, who's the regional minister. I won't go. Another regional minister was transferred. He said, go home. He said, I won't go. Brian Champon, the boss of the agri sector,
sure,
minister in charge, he says, go home, I won't go. Frema Oseo Pari, chief of staff, has written. He said he won't go. And he has suspended people and blocked people's salaries. And he's there. Can you then tell me that organized labor is organized? How do you convince me? I've given you 3 different examples. So
I agree.
How do you convince me that organized labor is organized in the interest of these people?
You may have to look at it from this way. There has always been the issue about organized labor and its structures. As we speak now, organized labor is not a registered group. It's just associations and unions coming together. Until we're able to register organized labor, having proper structures, doing their own elections and all that, then you can have a headway. But with the current situation, there's kind of a difficult, because they themselves are torn along political lines within themselves. There are people who belong to party A, others belong to party B. The one who belongs to party A will say, oh, let's wait a little. That one belongs to party B, so let's embark on the strike. That is the problem within them. But if they are able to somehow do away with the politics, then obviously they'll be able to champion the cause of worker. Along the line, these things come up, political lines. And some of the politicians have also found themselves to infiltrate the labor group.
Sponsoring candidates and all
exactly.
That.
Elections are conducted, politicians sponsor candidates, those are very much interested, and they come out to emerge as winners. So if you don't have any political party behind you to sponsor you to win a particular election, then obviously you're out. When you have a strong political power behind you, and become, let's say, a chairperson or union leader, means that you have to sing the song.
This Joseph, the new TUC secretary, Joshua Ansa.
Yeah,
he's replacing a formidable force like Dr. Yaban. He's deputized for Yaban for many years.
For about 8 years.
People have a certain impression of Dr. Yaban and how he led the TUC. In fact, when Dr. Yaban was leaving, that was when the ECG matter had come, tax on ECG, etc. Sure. He made a very bold statement that Helen likes to play. That this country, we have taxed everything now. We want to tax electricity, blah, blah, blah. He gave the deductions and all of that.
Sure.
That was the stone he took and put on Joshua Ansen's head and left. That thing is creeping back in. People already have an impression that, look, Yaban, for a long time, because it was in the minds of people like lawyer Isaac Bampo, is in the minds of people. If you fill in their shoes and they see some, flip-flopping or some pussyfooting,
then they begin to put you in.
Yes, because there's a standard that they are measuring you against.
Yeah.
And if you are not able to meet that standard, even though you had been deputy, and they expect that once you have been deputy to him, your eyes have been in the business. The accounts will say, when you were owing man,
sure,
you have already known what is in the soup. So now when you take over the reins of power, and then now suddenly it looks like the soup is no longer on the fire, people will start asking questions.
They'll be benchmarking you with.
Thank you.
That you are failing them.
So organized labor can have their structures, but the people they lead also have their right to say, this is our opinion. For example, look at our river bodies. And this morning I showed, every media house is showing the river bodies and that. Do we have time to afford to wait for a president who is 80 and over, who has set up a 10-member interministerial committee that failed, set up another 5 without a timeline to bring to them, right? And he has not taken a very decisive decision on Galamsey in this country. He says, give me time. What are you giving him the time to do?
That's the time the president has requested for. Give me time, let me look at it.
But to do what?
To time to be able to resolve the problem, actually. And that is the problem, exactly. Because organized labor, why did you go to the president? You went to the president because the president invited you. And you table some issues before the president. We want a public announcement on a total ban of illegal mining and Galamsey activities. You walked out of the meeting without that particular firm commitment from the president. The president said, I need more time, suspend your action, and let me see what I can do. You have up to Wednesday to get this one. This particular issue addressed. And even my understanding is that there's a possibility that the president is likely to travel. So in case the president travels, what
To where?
The president is going to say thank you to other world leaders. He has to say
Okay, as they typically do at the end of their
He has
term.
to say thank you. When he comes to come and do his tour in the country.
Granted the president travels either today or tomorrow or Monday. What happens to
the promise and the pledge to say wait?
But Dr. Baumia will be there. He's too IC. So, I mean, that's how he travels forward.
But he told us he's the mate.
The president.
Okay.
So you can't go and meet the vice president unless the president details that in my absence, Dr. Baumia take 1, 2, 3 decisions.
Because you say he's traveling, and organized labor, whilst they have granted that time, they haven't said that they will not strike any longer.
They haven't said that. It's still on the table.
It's still on the table.
They are considering. So granted the president travels today or tomorrow. Then obviously, when is he going to attend to the issue?
See, there's a cabinet document dated the 4th of March 2019. Suspension of prospecting licenses for mining companies in 47 forest reserves. Cabinet, at this 49th meeting held on Thursday, 28 February 2019, received an update from the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. That was then Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, in his capacity as chairperson of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, on the work of the committee. 2. Cabinet took note of the lack of coordination amongst the relevant agencies in the mining and forestry subsectors, resulting in some entities exploiting the situation to acquire prospecting licenses without compliance with due process. 3. Consequently, Cabinet directed the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to suspend the issuance of all new licenses and permits by the Forestry and Minerals Commission for minerals prospecting. 4. Cabinet further directed the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to suspend the licenses already issued for operation in 47 forest reserves as per the list attached, and to submit a report on environmental impact assessment by the Environmental Protection Agency for the said forest reserves. The report should be submitted at the 41st cabinet meeting scheduled for 28 March 2019. I should be grateful if you could take requisite action on the decision by cabinet. This is by Mercy Deborah Kakari, is the secretary to cabinet, copy to lands minister, chief of staff was in copy, secretary to the president Asante Bediatu was in copy, secretary to the vice president was in copy, honorable minister for environment, science and technology was in copy. This was a decisive decision of cabinet
2019.
In 2019. After this meeting, we went ahead to grant mining licenses to people in forest reserves. We went ahead to still even not get those already granted as cabinet directed suspended. Organized labor is aware of this.
Sure.
So why are they pussyfooting?
But so this 2019, obviously Dr. Yaban was in office. So we would have expected that they would have taken a decision by then. They kept quiet.
But organized labor is not just Yaban.
I agree. Organized labor is not just Yaban. There are other,
they come together.
Because there are other leaders within organized labor. Because now we have 3 labor centers. Ghana Federation of Labor, Mr. Abraham Kumsin. You have as a Bampo, the Forum, they have the TUC. All these leaders since 2019 have still been in office, except Dr. Yaban, who exited just about 2
months ago.
Exactly. So you would have expected that when this particular statement came up, they would have made some firm decision on this one, but they kept quiet. Now the things have gone out of hand. Organized labor is now regrouping, putting themselves together, trying to fight galamsey, and calling for a total ban.
But I'm saying that when this total ban thing was on, we were made as if Professor Frimpong Boateng had not brought this, we would have all thought that when we were told that, we had banned all forms of mining in 2019, that was so.
It would have gone to sleep. But here's the man.
But the man revealed to us a confidential cabinet document that is telling us that when you were all here believing that the government had banned all forms of mining, we were actually giving mining licenses to people to mine in forest reserves and places they are not supposed to go and mine. My small geography teaches me that we actually keep forest reserves and preserve them so that the ecology, water bodies, are
protected another.
Now we are destroying forest reserves. How do you expect that you protect the other things in their natural habitat?
Obviously, they are all gone.
Mr. Abraham Kumsing is with the Ghana Federation of Labor. Chief, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Are you in agreement that the president should be giving some more time to think about when to fight Galamsey?
Oh, no. Well, what time again? The time he gave is already exhausted. When he even put his presidency online and all those things, I mean, the Galam stopped and so many task forces that he established to deal with it. So I don't think Organized Labour is saying that we should consider giving him more time. I mean, more time to do what? So we have given ourselves up to 10th October. And we think that, okay, between now and 10th, the president will come out positively to, address our concerns. So if you see us engaging the presidency, it's not about anything. After all, we want resolution of this problem. We want settlements. We want things to be done right so that our water bodies will be safe to use and that sort of thing. So between now and 10th, we cannot say no, if you call us, we shouldn't go. I mean, why? We want results. So all we want is that things have been put in place that will address the concerns that we have put out there.
I see.
So that's what is happening.
Were you at the meeting yesterday, or were you represented? I mean, the Ghana Federation of Labour. Were you represented yesterday at the meeting?
Well, we were represented. Two of our officers represented the TDC, and then the other organized groups. We were all there. So we were fully represented.
Now, there's a public sentiment that's out there. I mean, I'm sure you know that the young people of this country are demonstrating. Today is day 2 of their demonstration operation, Stop Galamsey. The sentiment around there is that organized labor is pussyfooting because you gave government an earlier ultimatum. You have now given them up to the 10th. And now president is asking for another time. They fear that he will get an extension of the time. The question is, why is organized labor not demonstrating, just like you did in the Senate matter and burying your teeth, but rather giving some more time when this is a matter of life and death?
Yeah, you see, we gave government up to the end of September, that is 30th, to act to save the situation. But we couldn't have taken any action before the 30th, the ending of September. So after 30th, and we weren't hearing anything, but we had engaged the so-called interministerial committee, and we insisted and stressed that what we want to be done is for the president to, pass this state of emergency, whatever. And so we insisted, and they gave us 1 week to get back to us. In the 1 week elapsed, we didn't hear from them. That's why on the 1st of October, we had to assemble again, view the situation, and then see how we're going to. So that was the forum that took the decision to, put 10th as the deadline for any, discussion. So before 10th, we hope that the president will do the needful. If not, we have already communicated to the employers and the unions that they should brace themselves for that 10th strike that is going to start. We don't know when it will end. So that's why we still stick to that.
And while we wait, we are drinking water with mercury and cyanide. We are eating fufu and fresh fish with mercury and cyanide. I know people who are advanced in age like you choose fish over meat. While we wait, we are chewing vegetables grown with mercury and cyanide. While we wait, we are enjoying bush meat who live in these Galamsey areas who are chewing grass with mercury and cyanide. Do we have the time to wait?
No, you see, it's unfortunate. We've all looked on, and I would say unconcerned till now. You see, and so you can't blame organized labor. We know Joy FM did very well, by going into the areas there to do their
in fact,
own
TV3
documentary.
started that fight before Joy FM joined long ago when I was on TV3 New Day.
Okay. But unfortunately, we couldn't organize ourselves to support. But it's unfortunate that we've gotten to this thing where almost everything is destroyed. But it's not too late. It's not too late. So giving ourselves up to on the 10th, I don't think that it is too far. So let's see how things work out. But the Minister of Employment wrote after the meeting with the President. He wrote, I'm sure by now you have a copy, that the President has agreed on. But in our presence, he agreed. The only problem that he raised was the state of emergency. He said for the state of emergency, he doesn't know how that is going to be done to have an effect immediately. But for the invocation of the LI that he himself signed to allow people to enter the forest reserve, for that one, he's making sure that Parliament, when they reconvene, any moment, we will revoke that LI. Then again, they are going to set up a court to also try those arrested for engaging in this illegal mining, that sort of thing. But for the state of emergency, he had issues with it. But we were also discussing with our lawyers for advice as to how, because he, as the president, cannot unilaterally take that decision that state of emergency, then everybody will comply. So he has to send this to Parliament, and Parliament will have to discuss or debate. And it's the Parliament that we have a medical doctor who is going out telling his constituents that for the Galamsey here, no, it will never end today or tomorrow. They will never stop it either today or tomorrow. So our problem here is, if the president sends this, the policy or the paper or the directives to Parliament and they are going to debate, Parliament is already polluted because with such mindset of an MP, a medical doctor, it means that there will be challenges. And so, Organised, we are meeting again on Monday. But over the weekend, we'll be consulting with our lawyers and other, friends who advise us to how to handle this whole thing. But meanwhile, on the 10th, it's already communicated to our people that on the 10th, a strike action is going to happen. But if we are able to, arrive at something, after all, what we want is that, look, stop this Galamsey thing. That's all. So if he's able to do it by any means, but you see, we are skeptical about this whole thing because the Galam top, Galam this, Galam that, Galam this, they didn't work. They didn't work. So even the state of emergency, it has to be enforced by the security. So if state of emergency has been declared, meanwhile, people who are supposed to enforce this directive or rule may even connect with people doing it and continue doing whatever they want to do. So if we are discussing all these things, we are playing the devil's advocate as to what will happen, even if the state of emergency is declared, and those who are supposed to enforce measures to stop do not do it. And even the court that they claim they are going to establish the court, how do you even trust this system? Whether they are going to do the right thing? So it's really we are in a dilemma. But we are meeting today, tomorrow, the weekend we meet. Before Monday, we engage the Assembly of Workers Representatives, and then we see the way forward. Whether these people will be sincere, government will be sincere, and make sure that, because like I heard you mentioning Professor from
report.
report. report has been there. Has been there for all these years. The problem they know. And the people who are into Galamsey thing, there are people, the kingpins are at the presidency. So that's our problem. So even if the state of emergency is declared,
3FM
yes, okay,
92.7.
are we going to police them? Are we going to go there
Okay.
to make sure that, you see, that's the problem that we have, but we are still meeting and discussing. So it's not only about declaring the state of emergency, but after that, nothing. Are we going to just sleep or stay in our offices and expect that things will work?
Let me ask you my final question. What will President Akufo-Addo do to make Abraham Kumsing and his Federation of Labour happy that there is a fight against Galamsey at all?
Oh, the man is not interested in making anybody happy. He is only concerned about what he can do to make himself and his, associates fine. Because I remember this Smith Hotel sales, for instance. When our delegation went to him at the presidency, the man was fed up. He was annoyed. He said, is it because my minister is the one buying hotels? That's why we are against it. And he said so many things that it was unpresidential for him to have behaved towards workers' leaders at that time. So me, I vowed even not to set foot at that place, so long as he remains the president of this country. Because his attitude, I've seen Jerry Lawrence, I've seen President Kufuor, I've seen none of them had demonstrated this kind of behavior to us. So for now, let's see. We only hope that, aside the state of emergency thing, whether there could be another way of getting things done well, so that we all get it. But for President Kubadi there, he himself, I don't think that he can assure anybody of what things he can do positively to impact on any.
I hear you, Mr. Abraham Kumsing. Thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful. And he's the boss at the Ghana Federation of Labour. Daniel Opoku is here. I have his closing thoughts. Danny, so where do we go from here? Kovadis.
Right, so let's see what Organised Labour will be able to put together. Because having listened to the Secretary General of the Ghana Federation of Labour, Mr. Abraham Kumsing, obviously it is something that they would want to carry through with the strike. But in case that's when the president does not step in. But so let's see, there's so much pressure. And this time around, they are likely to take a decision like they did for the Senate matter. So let's see, up to Monday, they're able to take February. They'll also not be turned along political lines. Let's wait, and all that. So let's see. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Daniel Opoku is our Labour correspondent here. Simple life. That's all we're asking for. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter. Shelter. That's all. The food, we know they get them. Water, we know they get them. Shelter, be problem. Not my baby. Huh?
Mr. Kumsing said that the president is not interested in making
anybody
any
happy. No.
That is in contravention of the Constitution, Johnny, because according to Article 36(1), Presido, he's supposed to make you happy. Do you know that?
Yes, I know.
No, do you know that?
I know.
That constitutionally, today you should be smiling
my
because
welfare should be paramount to him.
Yes.
But then
36(1), the happiness, please permit me.
Read.
The state shall take all necessary action to ensure that the national economy is managed in such a manner as to maximize the rate of economic development and secure the maximum welfare, freedom, and happiness of every person in Ghana, and to provide adequate means of livelihood. Listen to this: suitable employment and public assistance.
I'm happy you are now seeing this, because I've spoken about this many times on Johnny's Bite on TV's Renewed. But it's good that we're now on the same page. And when you demand the question of accountability and say, but this one is by law.
I got on this page long time, Johnny. I didn't come to the page.
You swore.
Point of correction.
I said you swore. You swore an oath. You heard what Mr. Kumsing said. He said they went into a meeting with him on this net matter. If Organised Labour had not gone on that, or threatened to go on that strike by hook or crook, right? The hotels, I tell you, would have gone into privatization. And you heard him. He said the president did so many things that was unprecedented. He was benchmarking him against President Mills, President Rawlings, President Mahama. He was benchmarking the president. That he flared up. He got angry. He wore his emotions. That's why I come in and I say, people are interested in massaging the ego of the president without actually telling him to the face that, Bosu, you have failed. We should be able to tell him that you put your presidency on the line, you failed. Accra is supposed to be the cleanest city, and that includes the Odo and Korle Lagoon. You failed. And those ministers and big men who talk about the fact that we are not talking about the Korle and Odo, and we are talking about Pra and Cobra and the rest. Do we drink Korle Lagoon? Do we drink Odo? I'm asking, do we drink Korle Lagoon? Do we drink Odo? But don't we drink Cobra?